Well, I got this compressor in a kit for Christmas, so I'm going to do a little review on it. I got a set of brad guns that came with it, 150 psi, 6-gallon tank, and it's got 2 connections, so you could use 2 tools at one time. Pretty nice. It's got a regulator. This gauge on the left tells you your tank pressure, and this gauge on the right is your regulated air pressure out. Like I said, I have 2 connections, so you can run 2 different tools with it. It's got a safety valve on it. It's got a drain to drain the water out of it. And there's a built-in safety switch inside on the connection. The kit comes with 3 different size brad guns. The larger one is for a 16 gauge, 1 inch to 2.5 inch brads, and that model is the FN 250SB. Then the next one is for 18 gauge, 5/8 inch to 2 inch long brads, and that model is a BN 200SB. And the smaller one, the mini, it's for 23 gauge, 5/8 to 1 3/8 long brads. And that's the brand is, or model is PIN 138. And the one I'll be using for my next project is this 18 inch gauge, and I'm using 1 inch brads for that project. Also comes with 1 hose. Okay, now I'm going to load the brad gun. Open this latch, push this latch down, and pull back the magazine. And take your brads with the sharp end pointing down, and then close your magazine. This right here moves, stays back. That's what's control. That's the keeps pressure and holds your brads in place. But the top part slides all the way over. Now, okay, now it's loaded. And this also has a depth adjustment right here for how deep you want your nail to go. You can adjust that a little bit. That's your nail depth adjustment. And this knob on the top, this adjustment, that's for your exhaust. You can make your exhaust come out in any direction you want to, depending on what side of the nail gun you're going to be on. Like if you're going to be nailing it this way, you want your exhaust to be away from you. You don't want it popping and out on your face. So that is your exhaust directional adjustment. Now on the FN 250 SB brad gun, to load it, you pull back on the follower until it latches. And then you load your brads with the pointy end facing down, and then you hold the follower and then push the release tab, and that's going to hang up. It'll probably stop around here when you have it loaded, but there's nothing in there, so it's just going to go all the way back. Okay, now this is your nail depth adjustment on this model. You turn this one way or the other, however, whether you want it, the nail to go deeper or less. Now this spring-loaded knob releases your plate, your brad follower plate, and then you can remove a jammed brad out of here, and then reinstall the front plate and let go of the spring-loaded clamp. And it also has the exhaust adjustment port. Okay, now in order to load the model PIN 138, you push the magazine release latch and pull back the magazine all the way. Then you install the brads again with the pointy end facing down, and then you push the magazine back all the way in as far as it'll go until it latches. Okay, now to control the depth of the nail on this model, it's done by increasing or reducing the air pressure. Now on the pin 138 model, in order to operate it, you hold your nose piece down against your workspace, your work surface, and you release your safety trigger, and then you pull your brad release trigger. The safety trigger keeps your brad release trigger from engaging. Now on the other models, you have a contact trip. This moves. When you push on the work surface, this will move and release a safety feature, and then you pull the other trigger to allow the brad to be shot. Now on these two models, you have what is called a sequential trip safety feature. First you have to push down the contact trip onto your work surface, and then you pull your trigger to release a brad. This one has it also. Now on the PIN 138 model, you have a little low brad indicator window right here. When it gets low on brads, then it stops working, and then you can see. And another little accessory you get with the small PIN 138 is a belt hanger. You can hang this on your belt. Which you don't get with the larger models. I guess because they think it's too heavy for you to carry around. But anyway, that's another accessory you get with the PIN 138. I went ahead and plugged in my compressor and turned it on and let it pressurize up to its maximum. And then I want to turn the regulator down, and then this one to the left is decreasing pressure. Turn that all the way to 0. Then I'm going to install my air line. Pull this collar back, push that in till it snaps. Then I'm going to hook my air line up to my brad gun. Now that I have my air line hooked up, I'm going to increase my air pressure with the regulator up to the working pressure of that's recommended for that air gun. And in this case, it's from 70 to 100 psi. So I'm going to put it at 80. So I'm going to turn the regulator to the right to get that pressure up to 80. Okay, now the gun's ready to operate. And the safety feature is what is called a sequential trip. This is your contact trip. You put this against the work surface, you push down on it, and then you pull the trigger to shoot the brad into the board. There you go. Put a couple in here. A lot of times you got glue on here, and then you put your nails in to hold it while the glue dries. Push your contact trip down on your workpiece, and then pull the trigger. There you go. And make sure you're not pointing this at yourself or anybody else. Now each nail gun has its own working pressure, and you hit to buy the size fasteners for that type of gun. Each one has its own different size fasteners. And it has to be, I'm pretty sure it has to be the same brand, I don't know. Anyway, you buy the same brand, just it'll work, it won't jam. Now I'm ready to build some projects. Now when you're finished with your compressor, turn it off and use the regulator to release any pressure in there On this one you turn it left to decrease the pressure. Okay, now you can remove your air hose without pressure on it. Then you can remove your brad gun. And if you want, after you use it a while, you can release the air out of the bottom and then see if there's any water moisture in there. There's no moisture built up yet, so that's good. And depending on the brand, some models take oil, and you go by the book on what kind of oil it is and how much, and usually put a drop or so inside of the air connection, and then it gets inside the system and lubricates it. Okay? This one, on the other hand, does not take any lubrication. So look at your manual to see what it needs.